It's graduation day. We made it to the end, and I'm just so proud of all the things that we've done together. Hello, welcome. My name is Alex. I make music as Arcade Island, and I just put out an album in October called Dreaming in the Void. Look at that, the last one. I got them all. All the things I need to say at the beginning, I nailed them. No notes. As you know, I've been going through every single song on the album and every week talking about how I made each and every song on the album. Last week was The Bottom Line, and today is Common Ancestor. This song is very important to me. I am incredibly proud of this song. It's odd that it's the slowest song on the record, and if somebody was like, hey, what's your favorite song on the record? I feel strange saying Common Ancestor because they're going to listen to it and probably be like, well, I can't dance to this. This song echoes a sentiment that I feel all of the time, and it's very similar to what I spoke about for Savannah Moon. It's just much more fleshed out here, but I don't know, I feel alone a lot. I don't mean in an interpersonal level, I just feel alone in the universe. But I guess I've been developing a strange spiritual connection with my ancestors very far into the past, and thinking about how lucky I am to be here, and at the same time, on the inside, I don't think we've changed all that much. I don't think I'm saying anything too groundbreaking. I knew I wanted the last song to be something quieter, something very mysterious and lonely. I wanted it to feel meditative and atmospheric, and I wanted it to feel like something you'd sit on a moonlit desert night and just stare at the sky and feel utterly and completely alone. Ironically, I didn't have it. I demoed out this entire album and I didn't have the song. It's the first song I knew I kind of wanted to write, but I didn't have anything that felt right. And I demoed this album out and it's almost in its entirety. I had 13 songs and I did not have this one. And then I had already recorded bass, I had already recorded drums, I had already recorded guitars, and I had recorded most of the lyrics and vocals for the album. And then one night I was playing around the piano and this came to me. And yeah, I like to say that you don't write music, you find it. Something connects. That's what your taste is. That's what your style is. But anyway, let's dive in and talk about Common Ancestor. Like other songs on this record, the first thing that you hear is actually the last thing you hear on the song before it, The Bottom Line, and that is just two sound effects. One is really just like night insects sound, and the other is a campfire sound. It's a little corny and on the nose, but I mean, that's what this song is supposed to feel like. It's supposed to feel like you're just by yourself in the wilderness, contemplating these things. So let's talk about the star of the show here, which really is the piano. I mean, that's what carries the entire song. And I recorded it in a bit of an unorthodox method, I suppose. I had the microphone set up like I usually do, with two condenser mics on either end of the piano, just like pointed down into the action. But I recorded it twice. Really tried to get two identical performances, and then I subbed them to mono, and then I just played them left and right. And by doing that, it got a really wide stereo image, and it added some depth to it because you have these sounds playing on top of each other, and it gave it a much more distant sound, and it made it sound a bit more lo-fi. So we have one entire performance over here, and then an entirely separate, distinct performance on the right. And that came about because the original demo, which I have here, I did it that way by necessity. When I recorded the demo, I just wanted to have the piano recorded, so I just threw a single microphone over it, and I just decided to record it twice to make it a stereo image, and it sounds like this. I wouldn't say I had demo-itis, which if you don't know, demo-itis is basically where it's a thing where musicians hear a demo so often that they just kind of accept that as how it should sound, and they kind of fall in love with it in that state. And then when they go to re-record it, record it for real, like go into a studio and actually track it professionally, it almost sounds strange and something's not right. It almost sounds too perfect or too clean or whatever it might be. I would say that I had that, except I knew I wanted it to sound that way. I like breaking things apart that way. Like this is no different than what I do with my synthesizers, where I will record it twice and then take both performances and take them left and right to be able to do different effects and create unique sounds. It sounds very wide and washed out, and the subtle differences in timing give it I don't know how to, it's almost like rolling R's when you speak Spanish. It's just like a very elegant sound. And those are both going to a single bus called Piano Verse Out, where I just put a little bit of compression on them to keep them together, and then just put some reverb on it. Not a lot. It's very bare bones on this one. And that's how the piano is recorded for the verses. And then as those opening lines end, and as we get into the first verse, I have this effect swell here, which you can guess is a synth that I placed a bunch of reverb on and then exported out and then reversed. And then we get into the first verse, and it's just piano and me. Upon a sphere. And most of my vocals on this song are singles. I just wanted it to be that, just me and a piano. And it sounds like this. Upon a sphere in outer space, on lonely sands we grew our human race across the age. I know your face, I'm just as lost. Help me to find my way. That's actually going through a bus called Verse Out, and I'm adding a lot of chorus to it. You can hear that it sounds pretty liquid. It sounds a little underwater. If I take the chorus off, it sounds like this. Upon a sphere in outer space. When I add the chorus back in. Upon a sphere in outer space. And I'm also applying chorus in the reverb here that I place on here. So you have this effects too. There's a little bit of echo in there too on this. And this is the effects track that it's being sent to. And there's chorus on that too. So when you take the chorus off of both buses, my vocals sound like this. Upon a sphere in outer space. And then when you add it back in, it sounds like this. Upon a sphere in outer space. It's a little subtle, but I don't know, I wanted to make it softer and a little bit more ethereal and lo-fi. And so that's how we get through the first verse. And then there's an instrumental break here where we add in some strings. And this originally started on MIDI, as you can guess, and which sounds like this. Well, it just sounds cool, I guess, but I did keep some of the more like chordal string elements in there. But in the end, I send all of this out to Jess and Tom, and then they performed it on strings. And I think it's their best work on the album, to be honest. When I started playing around with that, I just imagined it sounded like some folk song from like Eastern Europe or Russia or even somewhere in the Middle East. Like it's in that scale. And yeah, it feels like the theme to like wandering through the desert, to trying to figure out what all of this means. Yeah, I mean, I not to toot my own horn or to sound too conceited, but I just think it's beautiful. I mean, it's probably this is the one song on the record where I don't really feel like I have any criticisms about it. I mean, I just feel like it's a classic kind of ballad that either you like it or you don't, but I don't know what else I could add to it. And then we get back into the second verse. I have to know, do you feel small? Our meager lives are... And I'm just kind of doing standard quarter note chords here. I had it has a nice marching quality to it. It's not fancy or complicated, and it's really easy to sing along to if I ever wanted to perform it live rather than something more complicated. And it does the trick. I add a little bit of an element here. There's a little bell sound that I add in the left channel, which you might not hear in the context of the record, only a little bit. And then as we get into the chorus, that bell sound, I actually went really low and then used the pitch knob to kind of draw it from a lower pitch upward, and it sounds like this. And that's that little transitional element that you hear in the song. I can make a monster. And so in the chorus, we have the piano switches to a more standard recording. So this is just in stereo, 2 condenser mics left and right over the action, but it's doubled up. So there's this performance, which is live. Just the nature of my piano, it's a little bit on the tinier side because it's a spinet. Doesn't have a lot of like lower register to it. So I beefed it up with this synth piano, or MIDI piano as I call it here, which sounds like this. And I love that it has like a little warble on the end of it. You can hear it. And when you blend them together, you get this. Which I love. And yeah, again, that's pretty much it. And then as we get into the third verse, we bring in some other elements here. So we go back to the 2 piano recordings left and right. On top of that, I have this glockenspiel. We have that rising like ostinato, and then it plays in with a harmony in this time. And that harmony sounds like this. And a lot of the bass in the song is coming from actually a MIDI string. And I didn't even send that to Jess and Tom to have them do it. I just kept it in there. It's low enough that the character of it doesn't necessarily matter, but I liked having that control over that low end. So the percussion elements here, this is a kick, sounds like this. And it's a sample, but it's a sample that I created using a MIDI kick. And I ran an auto filter over that. And what auto filter is it's a plugin that, as the name implies, filters automatically. So it kind of like will oscillate up and down where on the frequency spectrum it's like cutting and rising. And so you get like a like a warbly sound. And but it was very unstable. So what I did was I bounced it out and then I cut where I liked the resonant character of that part of the kick pattern, and then I just chopped it up and repeated it. Yeah, you can hear what it sounds like here. Kind of the low end kind of drops out, which was no good for a kick, so I just kept it as one. And then the snare, I meant to replace, but I did have demo-itis on this. This is a MIDI snare from the Impact kit. I don't even know which one it is. Good luck. It just sounds like this. I just put some delay on it, and together they sound like that. And as we get back into the third verse, that swell comes back. And then I have these MIDI percussive fills here. And then the second verse is just a little bit more full than the other ones. Beyond the eyes, watching from trees, what childish fears. And I love to listen to this with the strings only. I don't know why, I just do. Beyond the eyes, watching from trees, what childish fears stalk you inside your dreams? Will you grow old? There's a couple harmonies here. Fears stalk you inside your dreams. Stalk you inside your dreams. A gentler way of life. And then we get back into the chorus. The chorus is pretty much the same as the first. We have the piano elements working again. That pattern doesn't really change, except we have strings in there. And mostly played on cello. And then the strings kind of build up again. The drums come back in for that second repetition. Which sounds a little bit like Lana Del Rey, like Born to Die record, like her earlier work. And then for my vocals in the second chorus, I'm doing harmonies, but not really a harmony because it's an octave, but I'm doing octaves really. So I have this primary melody in like the main register. I can make a monster out of faith. And then I'm singing an octave down. I can make a monster out of faith. So together, it sounds a little bit stronger. Noises in the darkness, I run away. I am not evil. And then as it repeats, it's like just the tiniest hint or whiff of a harmony. Busy making villains out of I am not evolved. I am still afraid. I automate some delay at the end there. And then everything kind of just builds. And then we get into the final leg here, the final verse, where, you know, I'm back to my single vocals. Living die, I'm sure you've seen. And then as my final vocals sort of hit, I bring in the MIDI piano again. Aiming within the void. And then the entire outro is this instrumental portion where these cello and violin are basically dueling each other. And I had originally sent them MIDIs, obviously, which sounded like this. Which was okay. And then, of course, Jess and Tom just, I don't know, they just put everything into it. And I'm just going to let it play because it's like my favorite part of the entire record. I mean, yeah, they played it absolutely, I mean, better than I could have ever imagined. And honestly, if you like genuinely, if you hear this song and that does something for you and you hear that and you're like, wow, that sounds really cool, I would love to know, because like I didn't actually think it would sound that good. So yeah, I mean, what else can be said about that? And then again, I wanted to have the darker undertone of the rest of the album kind of come back. Again, in the same, like with keeping with the theme of the rest of the album, like you can go and you can escape and you can like ask all of those questions, and then you could like find peace. But I don't know, the darkness kind of comes back. And so that's sort of why I have these effects coming back in, to really like just like remind the viewer that you've been through something. And one is a really noisy delay from my Korg mini log that I'm manipulating and then like running through a bunch of like really long delays, bouncing out and then reversing until you get this sound. And then there's also a woman screaming that is in reverse. And of course we have our crickets and stuff coming back. But no campfire, because yeah, I wanted it to seem like you were really alone, like the fire went out and now you're just a lonely little ape in the wilderness. And then the piano, I just let it ring out, and then I cranked up the volume here to bring out that big room noise of the piano ringing out, to really like drive home the like dissonant sound of that swell. And that's it. That's the whole song. This song is really special to me, and it means a lot to me just to listen back to it, and it feels like something that I accomplished for myself. If it did something for you, I would love to know. I think it's the most important song on the record, and it's the one that I think everyone should listen to. But with that, that's it. 12 songs. I'm impressed I made it through all of them. I kind of thought I might quit halfway through. We learned so much together. We laughed. We loved. We learned about sidechain compression. For this record, that's it. That's the whole thing, man. That's the whole shebang. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Keep watching, keep listening, listen to my album, share it to everybody. I don't know. I just appreciate being able to do this, and I appreciate anyone listening at all. So take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, kind to everybody else. And till next time.